Now, next I call upon Shri Vishwanath Giriraj. Giriraj is a career bureaucrat. His last position was the Additional Chief Secretary, the State Government of Maharashtra, and Chairman of Maharashtra State Finance Commission. Shri Giriraj has been a long association with bamboo. He helped prepare the first action plan report for bamboo sector for the Ministry of Environment and Forest Government of India in 1999, which is a pioneering work. Subsequently, in 2017, he was the chairman of the committee report which prepared action plan for bamboo for the state of Maharashtra. Post-retirement from government, Giriraj is now the CEO of Maharashtra Bamboo Promotion and Foundation, which is a not-profit for bamboo in Maharashtra. And I would like to hear from him on the Indian perspective. I call upon Giriraj, please.
Greetings to all of you. I hope I am audible. I hope are you able to hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Greetings to all of you. I thank the organizers for giving me an opportunity to speak on the subject, taking forward the bamboo sector in India, key issues and challenges. I was a career bureaucrat who held senior positions in the government. As Kamesh indicated, I had the opportunity to prepare the first action plan report for the Ministry of Environment and Forest Government of India way back in 1999. It was a sort of a first stock taking of the bamboo sector. Later, I prepared a similar report for the government of Maharashtra. I have had the opportunity to see the slow but steady evolution of the bamboo sector in India. As you are aware, India is a very big country. It is the seventh largest with an area of 3.2 million square kilometers. We are also very thickly populated and our population is 1350 million. It's a country of amazing variety with a strong federal system, with a clear role for the central and the provincial governments, which we call as state governments. The bamboo bearing area, as per the latest report, the bamboo bearing area under the forest is about 160,000 square kilometer, which is about 5% of the total area of the country. And out of this, 22% are dense and pure bamboo forest. Of course, it is not evenly spread. Much of it is in the northeast and certain parts of India. In addition, there are huge areas in private lands under bamboo, grown in homesteads, around the field boundaries, or in private lands along river banks, or in very slopey terrain in hilly areas where bamboo comes naturally and nothing else can come in its place. So whenever there is a slopey land and on river banks, bamboo just grows profusely. In fact, the productivity of the bamboo in private land is high, and this is the bamboo that is being put to variety of uses, not the forest bamboo. Till around 1985, when communication to rural areas were not so much developed, and there was no opportunity to use alternate materials, or rather the alternate materials to penetrate into the rural parts of India or small towns, people used bamboo very naturally in their day-to-day life, whether for construction, household goods, and the like. I myself was born in a very beautiful house using country tiles in a village house, resting on a bamboo frame, and this house lasted for about 100 years. But in spite of all this, one must admit that India has been a late entrant to the modern bamboo sector as the international community understands now. There are two important reasons for it, and they have to do with our little colonial legacy issues. Prior to independence from the British in 1947, under the Indian Forest Act of 1927, bamboo was classified as an exclusive forest item. But as has been already pointed out by bamboo botanists, bamboo may grow in forests, but it falls somewhere in between and has to be tended and taken care of like any other agricultural crop. However, as it was treated like any other forest item, there were various restrictions on its cultivation and transportation in private farmlands. And thus bamboo was not consciously cultivated in farmlands for a long time. As regards forest bamboo, most of the bamboo from forest went to the paper mills for making paper. This was the situation till say early 90s. The second legacy issue was that bamboo was treated essentially as an handicraft item made by traditional artisans. This was certainly true. It is true that artisans were using bamboo, but bamboo is not a handicraft item alone. It is an utility item with 1,000 possibilities. Because of this, the thought that bamboo can be developed consciously as a resource did not occur, even though at the ground level, it was being used as a many-sided resources by the common people of India. Thus, there was no recognition of the ground situation, and there was a gap between policy and field reality. However, things have changed. What I have told is in the past. Things have changed rapidly for good in the last decade or more. Now the Indian Forest Act has been amended and bamboo is no more a restricted forest item. It can be freely grown in farmlands and transported. Likewise, the traditional thinking that bamboo is only a craft has also changed. Now, for instance, there are a number of factories in India which make engineered bamboo, that is bamboo wood or lumber, and various types of bamboo mat boards. Bamboo is also being used for erecting polyhouses in agriculture and in horticulture and as a shuttering material in construction. Now, having watched the bamboo sector for about 25 years, I can say with confidence that in the last few years, there has been an amazing increasing in the people showing interest in the sector from entrepreneurs, architects, and designers. In fact, we have been having a series of webinars during this lockdown period, and the response has been beyond our expectations. I mean, those who are in the bamboo sector can vouch for it. There has been a substantial increase in small and micro enterprises in this sector, though we have a long way to go. One reason for the growing attraction with bamboo is the increasing concern about climate change, environment, and need to have a sustainable lifestyle. People are extremely concerned with throwaway plastic items, and they are searching for a substitute. Now, what are the key issues and challenges in the development of bamboo sector in India? The first, in my view, relates to the nature and variety of bamboo species itself that are prevalent or available in India. First is the amazing variety. Reportedly, there are about 125 identified indigenous species. Few years back, the Bamboo Research Institutes in India shortlisted about 12 species from among them for wider use and propagation. In fact, the agenda of the National Bamboo and State Bamboo Missions is to focus on the few shortlisted commercially important species. Now, what is the commercial species that is important will vary from place to place. In my own state of Maharashtra, in the western part, the species is Toxai, while in the eastern side, it is Dendrocoloma strictus and Bambusa bambus or thorny bamboo. The best end use of this species also vary. So in each area, the strategy for development of the bamboo sector has to be different. Linked to this is the final end use for each species of bamboo. How to use all its parts and for what purpose. In short, one size will not fit all in the Indian situation, and our approach has to be very, very species specific. Now, while we have either imported or developed our own machines for processing of the bamboo, that is splitting, splicing, knot removal, etc., the general feedback is that while the machines are good and have been very helpful, whether it is local machines or imported machines, still they are not the most appropriate ones for the particular species, and much more improvements are required. They say it is good, but A species, for this is not the best. We need some more improvement. We need some more improvements. This is the feedback, because some of the machines which were developed in India were made people who are making wood machines for the wood sector, not specifically for the bamboo sector. Particularly Dendrocoloma strictus and Bambusa bambus are very hard species, and much difficulties have been experienced in the stage of preliminary processing. Some of the artisans also say that the machines are also very noisy. The second issue, I first spoke about the issues relating to the species in India. The second issue is to overcome the image of bamboo, that is certain perceptional issues like that it is a poor man's item, that it is a temporary structure. Thankfully, the perception is very fast changing. As I said earlier, due to environmental concerns, people, at least the more sensitive ones, are willing to use bamboo more and more. But it has to be made more aesthetic and design friendly. There are also some issues like that a bamboo structure is temporary while a cement structure is permanent. Therefore, banks are reluctant to give loan for constructing a bamboo housing, for example. These are internal issues, and I hope we will get it sorted out in our coming years. These we have to address within our country. The third challenge relating to bamboo is what I call is very important, proper positioning of bamboo in the market. Decades back, people used bamboo because there was no competing material in rural areas and it was easily and naturally available. Now for everything there is a competing material and maybe at lesser cost. Therefore, there is need to precisely position bamboo for such items and locations where it is cost or technically advantageous compared to any other competing material. For example, in the Indian context, in the housing and construction line, bamboo has natural advantage in earthquake prone zones, seismic zones, high altitude zones or steep slopes where it is difficult to transport cement or bricks, and also in coastal zones where there are certain restrictions on construction up to 500 meters from the coastline. And cities also, lot of permissions are required for permanent construction, whereas making additions or alterations through bamboo is treated as a temporary work. So we have to position in these gaps and quickly develop the bamboo sector in India. Thus, a study is required in each area to see how bamboo can be a better substitute, taking into account cost and other considerations. The fourth challenge, and one of the most issues we are addressing in India, is the development of bamboo business ecosystem. As I mentioned earlier, for various reasons, the bamboo ecosystem could not develop earlier. A bamboo ecosystem consists of producers, purchasers, traders, farmers, suitable machines for processing, suitable trained manpower for the sector, treatment of bamboo, product designers, architects, and favorable rules and regulations, and important facilities for bank credit, whether it is fixed capital or working capital, taxation policy, and so on. Here there are gaps at present and we are addressing it. For instance, for the human resources, we have opened a 2-year post-school technical course in bamboo in Maharashtra, the first of its kind in India, to address the human resource requirement for the bamboo sector when it will develop in the coming years. We are trying to work with financial institutions so that financial norms are in place for giving working capital and loans for bamboo units. Today, such norms are not yet in place. Now, this brings me to the organization which I am now working as a CEO, Maharashtra Bamboo Promotion Foundation. It is created by the state government of Maharashtra and a renowned private trust, but it is autonomous. When I studied the bamboo sector in India, I found that there is an institutional gap for promoting the bamboo sector, like the observation about GTZ, which filled one institutional gap when the Germans tried to share their technology with us. As every entrepreneur is busy with his own challenges, so some time is needed to look at things at a whole, see what are the weak points and correct it. Ours is just a 1-year-old organization. In this short period, we have commissioned few area-specific studies, initiated few pilot projects, and had a very important conference with product designers and architects and understood where exactly the shoe pinches for them and are taking steps to address it. Now I will come the last part to the areas where I feel where there could be long-term mutually beneficial international collaboration between Taiwan and India. Here, two preliminaries must be understood. First of all, as I said, Indian bamboo sector will develop in its own unique way and each region will develop its own model. This is because the species also varies and the socio-economic conditions are very different. In some areas, labor rates are very high. There we cannot use very labor intensive methods. A single strategy will not work in such a big country like India. Secondly, which is equally important, I do not see big mammoth bamboo industries or factories. So future business units will be in the small cottage, micro, medium enterprises, what we call as MSMEs. with an investment ranging from as low as $1,000 at the lowest end to $2 million at the top end. Most of it will be in the range of 100,000 to 200,000 dollars, not more than that. Therefore, the technology, know-how, machines, etc. has to suit this financial investment model. Otherwise, it may not be. Otherwise, there may be one or two big factories, but the number of units will not expand. Here are some areas which, in my opinion, where collaboration is possible. Making of bamboo charcoal, vinegar as a byproduct, including distillation of vinegar. 2. Bamboo substitutes for one-time plastics like spoons, forks, which are all throwaway items, but that has to be made in small units. The present scale of investment and the technology that is available are very cost intensive. Suitable processing machines for tough bamboos like Bambusa bamboos. Suitable hand tools or simple household machines for craftsmen's families. Small treatment plants at village level using no chemicals or minimum chemicals. Foldable and stackable chairs in the furniture sector. Because people don't, there is not space. We have to fold it after a program. We cannot keep the chairs as it is. Because of space constraints, the people like a foldable chair. That is the attraction of a plastic chair where they stack it. Good finishing of bamboo products, which will add it to its value. Finishing is one area where I think is an area for possible collaboration. And support in bamboo skill education in few locations. I hope I have given a good overview of the bamboo sector in India and opportunities for working together. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Giriraj. Thank you so much for your points, which touches all the points now. Thank you so much.